Welcome to Brevard Beat. Ever think beyond the rockets when you picture Brevard County?
Most people probably think space first, right? Kennedy Space Center launches.
Exactly. But what if I told you about, say, a forgotten Cold War bunker hiding out in Titusville? Or maybe a ghostly handyman still doing his rounds at a historic theater?
Ah, now you're getting into the interesting stuff, the hidden layers.
That's what we're doing today on Brevard Beat. We're exploring the Space Coast's hidden history, the really wonderfully weird legends, those quirky facts, and the kind of off-the-map spots that just make you curious.
It really is amazing, isn't it? A place so focused on the future, but with this incredibly rich, sometimes eccentric past just waiting underneath.
Totally. So today we'll dig into a few of those. We've got tales like the ghost at Cocoa Village Playhouse Joe, they call him.
Right, and the Green Gables Mansion, that mysterious old place in Melbourne.
Yep, that one too. And the odd history of the Cape Canaveral Lighthouse. Plus, maybe my favorite, the ruins of that Wizard of Oz theme park.
Oh yeah, the Joyland story.
Yeah.
Fascinating stuff.
And don't worry, if any of these spark your interest, we'll definitely give you the addresses and websites so you can maybe check them out yourself.
Because Brevard isn't just about looking up at the stars, you know. There's a whole treasure trove of history and folklore right here on the ground. Perfect for exploring.
Okay, let's jump in. First up, let's talk about that theater ghost. Cocoa Village Playhouse and the Legend of Joe. Have you heard much about him?
Oh, definitely. Joe the Handyman. It's a classic local legend. People who work there, actors, they talk about playful kinds of paranormal things.
Playful? Like what?
Well, dressing room doors opening or closing on their own. Unexplained footsteps, you know, when the theater's supposed to be empty.
Creepy.
Yeah, but folks often say it doesn't feel malicious. More like the theater feels alive at night. That's the word they use sometimes. Alive.
And the building itself has quite a history, right? Not just the ghost story.
Oh, absolutely. It wasn't always the Playhouse. It was built way back in 1924. It was the Aladdin Theater then.
Aladdin. Wow. Silent film era.
Exactly. A silent film house originally. And here's a fun fact. It was actually featured in that 1992 movie Matinee.
No way! I remember that film.
Yep. And you can still feel that history inside. Those old creaky wooden seats, the whole vintage vibe. It definitely adds to the, let's say, spooky charm.
I bet it sets the stage perfectly, doesn't it?
It really does. And that's what makes it kind of an offbeat spot to visit. It's this beautiful historic place. It's on the National Register.
Right.
But it also has this layer of paranormal intrigue. Great for history buffs and ghost hunters, I guess.
So if you want to maybe experience it yourself, the address is 300 Brevard Ave in Cocoa, Florida, 32922.
And their website is cocoavillageplayhouse.com. Good idea to check for show schedules. Or maybe even ask if they ever do ghost tours. Sometimes places like that do.
Worth asking. Okay, moving from spectral stagehands to maybe a different kind of haunting. Green Gables in Melbourne.
Ah, Green Gables. Yeah, another fascinating spot. It's this beautiful Queen Anne-style mansion built way back in 1896.
Queen Anne style.
Yeah, you know, lots of gables, towers, porches. Very ornate late 19th century look. And the legend there revolves around the original owner, Ellen Well.
Is she said to haunt it?
That's the story. People talk about feeling odd chills in certain rooms, lights flickering when they shouldn't, that kind of eerie stuff.
Yeah.
To the mystique.
And the house itself is pretty special, isn't it? Like, historically?
Oh, incredibly so. It's actually one of Brevard's oldest homes. And get this, it was nearly demolished.
Really? What happened?
Preservationists stepped in and saved it, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Because so much of the original stuff is still inside. The furnishings, a lot of it hasn't been touched for decades.
Wow, like a time capsule.
Exactly. It's like stepping back in the late 1800s. You've got the creaky floors, the vintage wallpaper. You can almost feel the history soaking into the walls.
That sounds incredible. So it's not just the ghost stories making it feel old.
Not at all.
Yeah.
The history is palpable. And it's kind of tucked away in a quiet Melbourne neighborhood, so finding it feels like you've stumbled onto a secret.
Where exactly is it?
It's at 1501 S Harbor City, BLVD, Melbourne, FL32901. They do offer guided tours, which is probably the best way to see it and hear the stories.
Good tip. And the website.
It's greengables.org. Definitely check that out for tour times and info. And yeah, bring a camera for those quirky Victorian details. It's very photogenic.
Okay, from a time capsule home to something a bit more functional, I guess, but with its own weird tales. The Cape Canaveral Lighthouse.
Right, the lighthouse. Built in 1848, so it's seen a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, there are some strange stories associated with it, too.
Like what kind of stories? Ghosts again?
Not so much ghosts, more like strange energy. People report odd glitches with equipment nearby, sometimes a feeling of a watchful presence.
Any idea why?
Well, given its location right there on the Cape, some people wonder if it has anything to do with all the early space activity, all that energy, all those historic launches happening nearby. Who knows?
That's an interesting thought, and the lighthouse itself has a pretty weird fact tied to it, doesn't it? About moving.
Oh yeah, that's wild. It's actually moved back in 1894. They had to physically relocate it further inland because the coastline was eroding away.
They moved a whole lighthouse.
Yeah,
Okay.
carefully. Disassembled and rebuilt, I believe. And another weird bit, its original lens, a big Fresnel lens.
Yeah.
It used to be powered by whale oil. That lens is now at the Ponce Inlet Lighthouse Museum, by the way.
Whale oil.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's still working today.
It is, yeah, still an active aid to navigation.
Yeah.
But here's the catch. You can't just drive up to it. It's on the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Restricted access.
Ah, right. So that makes it pretty offbeat then. Hard to get to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's probably one of Florida's least accessible lighthouses because of that, which makes getting on a tour a really unique opportunity, especially if you're into history or space stuff.
How do you do that? How do you get a tour?
You have to book it through the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex. They run bus tours out there from the Visitor Complex.
Yeah.
The address is technically the Space Force Station, but your starting point is KSC. Their website, kennedyspacecenter.com, has a whole section on the Lighthouse tour. Just look under Explore Attractions or Behind the Scenes.
Good to know. And definitely book ahead, I imagine.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Dates are limited, and they fill up. But the tour is cool. You get to see the Keeper's Cottage and hear all sorts of tales mixing maritime history with the space age.
Sounds worth the effort. Okay, let's shift gears for our last weird spot. This one's maybe the most unusual. The ruins of that Wizard of Oz theme park.
Ah, yes. The Lost Theme Park. It's definitely one of Brevard's more melancholy and intriguing legends tucked away in the woods near Melbourne.
So what's the story? What's left?
Well, explorers, urban explorers mostly, talk about finding pieces of a crumbling yellow brick road. Maybe some rusted metal that was meant to be part of the Emerald City.
Seriously, a yellow brick road?
Apparently so. And people who've gone looking for it describe this really eerie, abandoned vibe. Some even say they felt like they were being watched out there in the woods.
Okay, that's creepy. What was this place originally?
It actually opened, but only very briefly, back in 1970. It was called Joyland. And the ambition was huge. They supposedly wanted to compete with Disney.
Wow. Didn't quite work out, huh?
Not even close. Ran into money problems almost immediately and had to shut down pretty quickly. But the weird part is that some bits and pieces apparently just got left behind. There are rumors of things like an old Tin Man statue still hidden out there somewhere.
That's bizarre. So it's become this sort of pilgrimage site for adventurers.
Kind of, yeah, for people interested in abandoned places, Florida history, that kind of thing. It's this surreal reminder of, big dreams that didn't quite make it.
Definitely offbeat. Now, finding it, that sounds tricky and maybe a bit risky.
Yeah, that's the important part. There's no official location marker. It's generally known to be somewhere near Wickham Park, which is at 2500 Parkway Doctor, Melbourne.
Okay.
But, and this is crucial, a lot of the area around there might be private property. So you really need to be careful and respectful. Stick to public areas of Wickham Park itself.
Right. Safety first and don't trespass.
Exactly. There's no official website, obviously.
Yeah.
But you can sometimes find discussions or tips on websites about abandoned places in Florida, like abandoneddfl.com, or maybe search Joyland Melbourne on hiking forums.
So do your research, be safe, respect property lines, and if you do go exploring nearby public areas, maybe bring a camera for those eerie photos.
Definitely capture the atmosphere. It's a unique piece of Brevard's forgotten past.
Wow. Okay, so ghosts, time capsules, a moved lighthouse, a lost Oz. Brevard really does have some wonderfully weird corners. For anyone listening to Brevard Beat whose curiosity is piqued, where can they find out more about this stuff?
Well, for official records and, digging deeper into the history, the Brevard County Historical Commission is a great resource. They have archives, photos, all sorts of interesting things.
Where are they located?
They're at 308 Forest Ave in Cocoa, and their website is easybrevardfl.gov. Just look for the Historical Commission section.
Okay. Any museums?
Yes. The Brevard Museum of History and Natural Science. It's at 2201 Michigan Ave, also in Cocoa. They often have exhibits that touch on local oddities. Could be space stuff, could be vintage curiosities. Worth checking out. Visit spacecoast.com usually has info on their current exhibits.
Good resources. What about online? Any communities talking about this stuff?
Yeah, the Florida Historical Society, myfloridahistory.org, they sometimes share quirky Brevard stories or host talks online or in person.
Right.
And we mentioned abandoneddfl.com earlier. That's more for the urban exploration side, people sharing info about places like Joyland or other hidden spots. Use caution and discretion with info from forums, of course.
Always good advice. Are there any events coming up where people might stumble across this kind of history?
Well, keep an eye on visitspacecoast.com for local events generally. But one specific thing is the Brevard Library Con. That's usually fun, lots of local interest stuff. It's scheduled for February 23rd, 2025 at the Melbourne Auditorium.
Okay, mark the calendar.
And places like the Rosetta House Museum in Melbourne, they do regular historical tours. Their website is rosettahousemuseum.org. You never know what odd little stories might pop up on a tour like that.
Sounds like there are plenty of ways to connect. And hey, if you listening find any other weird Brevard gems, or if you visit any of the spots we talked about,
Let us know.
yeah, share it. Use the hashtag BrevardBeat on social media. We'd genuinely love to see what other quirky things people uncover out there.
It's true. These stories, these places, they really add character, don't they? It's the community sharing them that keeps them alive.
Absolutely. So that wraps up our look into the delightfully odd side of Brevard's hidden history for this edition of Brevard Beat. From Joe keeping watch at the Playhouse to that lonely yellow brick road.
It really shows there's more to the Space Coast than meets the eye. Lots of unexpected stories if you just look around a bit.
We hope we've maybe inspired you to do just that, get out and explore some of these offbeat spots.
And definitely share what you find. Hashtag BrevardBeat.
We really do want to see your discoveries. Now, before we go, a little taste of what's coming up next time on Brevard Beat.
Ooh, what's next?
We're shifting gears completely. We'll be diving into Brevard's craft beer scene. Think local breweries, hoppy festivals, all that good stuff.
Ah, nice. From hidden history to handcrafted brews. Shows the diversity of the area, right?
Exactly. So until then, keep hunting for the weird and wonderful on the Space Coast. This is Brevard Beat.